Hello, hello, good morning, happy Friday. You are tuned in to the TMI Show, the Ted Manila Information Show. That over there is not Ted Rall. That is producer Robbie. Maybe perhaps sitting in the whole time, maybe not. I'll explain in just a moment. I'm Manila Chan. We thank you for tuning in from wherever you're watching, consuming this content. If you are streaming it where you're able to watch, please make sure you hit the like and the subscribe button to help us grow our little show. I see Ted Rall is popping in. Ted is out on assignment. Out on assignment on the field at Columbia University at his alma mater because of what's happening over there. So I'm not sure if we're going to get video feed from Ted. I know there's protests and stuff happening out there. I don't know what the connection is going to be like, but Ted has popped on. Let's just check Ted's audio and let's see if we can. Oh wait, I can see Ted a little bit.
We got him.
Hey, here I am.
Ted Rall. There's the T of the Ted Manila Information Show.
Yeah, he's giving us the Dr. Reese treatment, but there's no trees. Yeah. It's just buildings in the background.
Yeah, I'm not the Dr. Reese treatment. That's the absolute worst.
Don't do the Dr. Reese.
Nothing's worse than that.
Okay,
I like his walkabout. I like his walkabout out in the woods. All right, so Ted, so what's going on? So where are you? What are you doing? And why are you there?
Well, so I'm in the main campus at Columbia University on the Morningside Heights area of New York City. It is spooky quiet here. I haven't.
Quiet.
I mean, I have just not seen it like this in a long, long time. It's pretty much like when the university is closed, which effectively it is.
Yeah.
Getting in, which was really complicated. Even though I'm an alumnus and I was able to use my alumni card to get in. Nevertheless, I had to do a complicated security process where I had to tell them which building I was going to go to. I said it was going to the library, and they basically they gave me a one-day QR code. So that's the delay me coming on. I mean, they're very paranoid.
Wait, so they hold on, back up. They closed off the campus? Like
the campus is completely, it is. The campus is in complete lockdown. It's there's if you just look around here, you'll see this. By the way, I'm going to show you where the encampment was. It was right here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. Okay.
And so that's the main library, and I mean, it's very spooky. I mean, the atmosphere is just it's hard to describe. I went here twice, 81 to 84, then 90 to 91. And, this has always been a very vibrant urban campus, where the gates are open to the side streets. The members of the community come through. And here,
I wasn't a student. I used to wander through.
Yeah. And it's it's really peculiar because you just don't have any sense whatsoever that there's any campus life anymore. I mean, so for example, if you look at the walls here behind me, there would typically be posters for events and stuff like that. Those are gone. There's no posters for campus films or, whatever. Student life. Yeah. I mean, the campus is effectively dead. And, even though this is the height of the season, right? I mean, this is April. It's not quite, it's between midterms and finals. It's not spring break.
Oh.
So yeah, no, it's like, these are all students, but it's just very it's very weird.
Okay, so well, before you go any further, let me at least read a summary headline of what's happening there. So for all those that haven't kept up with what's going on with the universities and I think Trump is starting off with the Ivy Leagues, but in this one in particular, the Trump administration's anti-Semitism task force is aiming to pursue a consent decree with Columbia University as a condition of restoring the $400 million in annual funding to the university. A consent decree would give a federal judge the responsibility to oversee changes at Columbia University and could last potentially for many years. The report follows a turbulent month at the school where its interim president, who took over just in August, resigned a week after conceding to Trump administration demands. The Joint Task Force on Combating Anti-Semitism, first created in early February by executive order, has launched over 60 investigations into major universities for alleged anti-Semitism and civil rights violations. This week, the administration froze $1 billion in grants to Cornell, $790 million to Northwestern, amid these similar probes as what Columbia just went through first. So I think they were the canary in the coal mine. The State Department has also rescinded visas for nearly 400 students for their alleged involvement in these campus protests. And the administration has also reduced federal Department of Education funding and laid off roughly half the workers for the Department of Education. So, that's kind of loosely tied in. But that's why Ted's there, to check out what's actually happening. I thought, Ted, that we would see a few students, but it's all, protesting, but they're all cleared out.
No, there's absolutely nothing going on here. It's spooky, and I'm a little bit worried there's cameras all over the place now that never were here before, up on lampposts and stuff. So they've securitized this whole area, and it's spooky. And I think it'd probably be smart not to hang out here too long. I'm sure I attract attention.
Gestapo is coming for you.
Well, they have a new goon squad of like 38 activism cops that they've hired here at the university. So I'm going to just sort of stroll out and make my way out of the campus. But I wanted to this is it is super, super interesting to see just, there's a whole lot of nothing, right? So, this is going to be, it's like Al Capone's vault. There's just nothing
going on. Can you tell the
on.
audience, though, tell the audience what exactly it was that the Trump administration did to the university? Because like I said, they're kind of the canary in the coal mine. What is it that you think the Trump administration's trying to do?
Well, they're trying to seize control of it. So basically they're trying to subject it to what is called a federal consent decree. This is basically what it means, is that there would be federal oversight of this institution. It could go on for a long time. Like currently, friend of the show, Scott Stantis, pointed out that the Chicago Police Department is currently in its 25th year of a federal consent decree. But of course, the Chicago Police Department tortures people. So that's a little different.
Okay.
And here, normally when it happens like at a high school or something, it's usually a terrible high school where like the kids don't read, and they graduate without being able to read, and so it's that kind of thing, right?
Oh, so these levers have been pulled in the past.
But not against, but never against an institution like this. Right.
So never. What would that mean for Columbia? What would a federal decree over them?
Well, it would depend what the terms of the decree would be, but basically I'm sure it would say something about how they would be required to dot certain I's and cross certain T's, prove that they've made certain metrics about fighting anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism on campus, cracking down on pro-Palestinian students and so on. So they would, and if they failed to meet those metrics, the consequences could be dire, right? It could be anything. I'm walking out of the gate here, so I'm going to be probably a little bit on the quiet side as I leave here. But so just give me maybe about 20 seconds here.
So you're not going to run through the gates yelling, "Long live Palestine" or anything like that, Ted? You're not going to go streaking across the campus?
Nothing like that for sure. All right, so here I am out on Broadway at 116th Street. This is the main entrance to the university. I'm going to sort of just spin around and sort of show it here. This is what it looks like. Across the street there is Barnard College. That's where it's the women's college, affiliated with Columbia but independent. That's where there were some protests. Some students were thrown out of there. Sorry about my thumb there. The subway just to give you a sense of how urban a school it is, right? It has its New York City subway entrance right here.
Yeah, it has its own. Yeah.
Hold on. So
yep, right there.
So yeah, I should probably. So it's very what they have effectively done here is they have really killed free speech on this campus. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. I mean, the chill is palpable. There would be no way to express anything, to raise a sign. I think, the sense it was walking through there. I mean, I also worked there for several years after I graduated. Yeah. So I know the campus really, really, really well. And I just it's always had,
You worked with Rotund.
I worked with Rotunda. The security at this school was always, kind of like in the background. If something went down, they would respond, but it wasn't up your ass. That's just not true anymore. It's very now it's a completely different deal. I think if you raised if you picked up a sign and started carrying it, you would immediately be apprehended and hustled away.
I have a question for you, Ted. I've never been there. I've never been to New York. What are the demographics like?
This is a gate. This is a gate that's always open, usually. By the way.
Gotcha. So, what are the demographics like? They're at the school. Does it have a large Jewish population of students there? Is that part of the reason why maybe
it does have a big Jewish population. No one has exact numbers, but it's probably about 30 to 40% of the student body.
No way, really?
However, it's in New York City,
Well, yeah, I mean, New York City in general is, but I didn't think that there would be that heavy a concentration of Jewish students there.
There is, and it's also very but the thing is, most of them are very liberal, the Jewish students, and most Jewish students on this campus were sympathetic to the pro-Palestinian cause. So that's and there's a cute dog.
There's a cute dog.
So
here's something I don't understand. Like Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez, they're coming here to Montana, of all places. They're going to Missoula, which is about 120 miles south of where I am, and they're going to be speaking at the college down there. Talk about all the dangers that Trump represents to democracy. Well, my question is why would they not go to this university that's in her backyard? I mean, it's in the same city, but the Cortez is from.
Well, she has a delicate dance to make, and that is that AOC's district in Queens, and I think it also is part of the Bronx, but her district in Queens also incorporates a very big Hasidic Jewish population, and so she has those people to consider, and they're very politically very powerful in this city. So, so she's kind of walking a fine line between her progressivism, or her alleged progressivism, and and here's another. Here, I'm going to give you a sense of what the security situation is up here. This is another entrance to the university. This is my old dorm here. Carmen Hall.
Look, I see how Mayor Adams has been such an effective mayor introducing trash bins.
That's true. Yeah,
that's excellent.
Yeah, and so this is my freshman year dorm, Carmen Hall. So this was the entrance. We're on 114th Street. This is Fraternity Row. You'll note that Fraternity Row. You'll see the Gaza flag in the window there on the second floor.
Yep.
There's Beta House, the red, white, and blue house. Traditionally more conservative. No Gaza flag there. Not surprising. So I'm just going to cross the street to get a better view. Hey, Mayor Adams paved 114th Street. That's nice.
That's good.
So, yeah. So I'm gonna. You're getting the urban approach here. So see that little tent there. So that tent is one of. So the gate's closed. We used to always make fun of the class of 1929 gate. Like if they'd known what was going to happen to their stock market portfolio, they probably would not have spent so much money on that gate. But anyway, so that little security booth, and you'll note the big camera there. That's all new. That wasn't there. That gate used to just always be open, and you could just. And one night, except at, like late at nights, like sometimes they would lock it, and we would get drunk and climb it and try to avoid getting deballed on the spikes. But anyway, so yeah, you go through a little security tent, flash your Columbia University ID, and there you go. So yeah, and yet this is in fact the new. Yeah, there's the whole. Now we don't only have trash bins, we also have composting that's now mandated by the city. New Yorkers do not know how to do it, and then, so
they just throw food on the sidewalks and feed the rats.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, this is so it's strange, man. You got my real time reaction to the way this all looks, because
it looks
people are scared.
Are
They're
other
scared.
It looks like COVID era. Like that's what it looks like to me.
That's right. That's right.
So if I say, for example, if you wanted to lead a protest against those right-wing MAGA types like me at Columbia, would that be allowed, or would that get shut down for anti-white racism at this point?
I think any protest would be shut down. It's like at this point, they're not tolerating anything. The college, I mean, this is a big deal. Like proposing to shut the federal takeover of an Ivy League school. I mean, it's insane. And, it's also like part of Trump's rich fantasy life, right? It's like, so you're gonna crack down on a college for not cracking down, even though they did crack down on anti-Semites who didn't exist in protests that don't exist anymore because they've all been locked down, as you plainly saw.
So is the only thing that's required now to be an anti-Semite is just oppose a genocide that's going on in Gaza? Is that all that it takes now to be labeled an anti-Semite? If I oppose dropping a 2,000-pound bomb that I helped pay for on a bunch of kids, that makes me an anti-Semite.
Well,
is that what I'm picking up?
It depends on which political gatekeeper you're talking about. But for the most part, if you criticize Israel, if you make a chant like "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," that is counted as by the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith as an anti-Semitic statement. It is officially logged as a hate crime. If someone sees a sign that says "Free Gaza," or someone sees a keffiyeh, that is counted as a hate crime by the ADL. So, I mean, of course, if you count things like that, obviously then anti-Semitism is rampant on this campus,
Yeah. So then if I say something like, I don't know, fuck the ADL, because that's how I feel, does that mean I'm an anti-Semite?
Well, according to the ADL, you'd have to ask them, but I would assume probably yes.
Well, then
I'm going to test your cultural IQ here, Robbie.
Oh my God!
Do you know this?
It's the Seinfeld restaurant.
Yes, exactly.
I remember seeing that the first time I saw that, like 24, 25 years ago. I was like, oh my God. I was so excited because I was like, there's the real restaurant. There's the real diner.
Yeah. And so what they used to do is when they filmed it, they from the outside, they all see there's a lot of cops right now. And they would just cut off the Tom's part, so you just saw restaurant.
Right. It just says restaurant. Yeah. But I knew it right away. I mean, iconic. But yeah. I've
never seen Seinfeld, so I would have filled that.
And then, of course, do you know about these?
Also, Ted,
Robbie, these might freak you out. These are like these kiosks that have been up for a few years, where you can use a phone for free, and it has these ads on it and public information. And you can there's a USB port. You can charge your phone.
Interesting. I've never seen that before.
It's very Orwellian.
I haven't been up there in many, many years to the Upper West. But Robbie, I'm pretty sure if you are not a fan of Jerry Seinfeld or have never watched his show or a Larry David production, you are definitely an anti-Semite.
For sure. Well, I would say
definitely.
That's true by definition.
Well, I've already said fuck the ADL, so I think that I'm already in that category. So I mean,
these are all Columbia University related businesses, but
yeah,
you know,
yeah, a lot of those. God, they still there. I have memories of a lot of those places. They look.
That's the Citibank at 111th and Broadway, where I opened my bank account in 1981 that I still have. So
wow, this is like a stroll down memory lane for Ted, except less exciting because now there's like you can't have campus life anymore. So.
Yeah, it's interesting how you can be absolutely terrified by the absence of anything exciting. I mean, you know, it's funny. What is that famous quote? You would know it, Robbie. They created a desolation and they call it peace.
Yep.
That's what's happened.
I don't know that one. Yeah, it's weird to me how quiet and dead that is. So all right.
And then
Ted,
I don't know, there's dudes doing stuff in the rain here.
We're gonna prep for Bubba. We got
all right. Let's prep for Bubba. I'm walking back down to my. I'm walking down to my place, so I'll be.
Okay.
I might be off for like 5 minutes, and then I'll just be on.
Okay. We'll here. I'll boot you off. We'll just read a couple headlines, and we'll get Bubba all prepped. I see he's popped in because we started out the week talking about Ted. I told you don't count your eggs before they hatch because you were like the market's rebounded, and then it went and took a big old dump. So
that's true.
Hey, the egg farmers here are where I am here in Montana. They're loving this. They have a very brisk
speaking of
business.
which, before you go, let's see how much eggs. Let's see how much eggs are right now. Yeah, let's
egg
go.
Prices on the Upper West Side.
All right, we'll see. Might not be that bad. We'll see.
Let's see.
All right, here's the cheese.
Oh, it's a real supermarket, not a bodega.
Yeah, this is. Look how nice these cheeses are.
Mini market. That's beautiful.
Where be eggs?
So I love that we're seeing a grocery store in New York City in real time.
Isn't that funny?
Is a bodega kind of like a convenience store?
It's more like a package store. If you're
like
from
a mini mart, like like a
grab it's like a 7-Eleven kind of.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like a grab and go type place.
Yeah, let's see here.
Let's see eggs.
I'm having a hard time finding it. Oh, eggs. It must be near milk. Here we go.
Those are some narrow aisles. There's milk. What's milk cost?
Yeah, let's see. Half gallon, $3.
That's not horrible.
Not too bad.
New York City. That's not terrible.
No. Oh, here we go. We're approaching the egg zone.
The test is the eggs. Eggs and butter is the test.
Well, there are eggs. So here we go.
That's a plus.
So $7.49. That's the special.
$7.49 a dozen.
Here, these are $8.99.
Wow.
The extra large big boys. Ooh, these are a good buy. These $4.49. I'm taking these.
$12.49.
Get those eggs.
No, these are.
My word!
These are $5. I'm getting these.
Oh,
I'm getting these.
Ted's just buying some while he's there. All right.
Yeah.
Let's let Ted buy a couple packs of eggs. And we'll do one more headline as we'll give Ted some time to pop onto.
This convenience store is sponsored by the TMI Show.
That's right. Random convenience store.
I'll be back.
In New York City. All right. Thanks, Ted.
I will be back. I'll be back on the air. Okay. Bye.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So we were watching in real time there. Obviously, Ted Rall went to go check out what was happening with the threats of the federal takeover of Columbia University, his alma mater, and it is a ghost town. That's very strange for this time of the year in New York City. And then we also got a random grocery store tour, which fits perfectly because we're bringing Bubba Horowitz, who's a trader. He's been in the other kind of markets, Yeah,
I love Bubba. Bubba's awesome.
Bubba's great. So that's kind of a perfect dovetail into our main topic, which is the economy. Stupid. Not you, Robbie, but that's
Well,
that's
hey,
what James Carville said.
depending on who you ask, some people definitely think I'm kind of dumb because of that Southern drawl. So no, I'll
Well,
take
they
it.
would be mistaken. And remember, Bill Clinton with that Southern drawl, he tricked everybody. He was, dumb as a fox. But here we are. So okay, I'm just gonna hit the well, if I can get my
Yeah, do you want me to do
programs up.
headline
Okay.
3, or you always just
No,
hit
no,
the
no.
draws and bring in Bubba?
I'm gonna hit the jaws and we'll bring in Bubba.
Sounds good.
All right. So as you guys already heard, if you were watching live, in case you missed it, Ted was walking around the Columbia University campus to cover one story, and then he stumbled on to the a market before we talk about another market, like the market also in New York City. So who better to bring on board to talk about the markets with us than our buddy Todd Bubba Horowitz. He is a market maker. He's the CEO and founder of BubbaTrading.com. I'm going to throw that up on the screen. Bubba, appreciate you joining us. I'm going to put your website up here too, so we can share that. But we often talk to you about grocery shopping, Bubba, at the other markets. You just saw Ted right now. Where are you, and what are your egg prices?
I'm in Las Vegas, and I have no idea because I don't go to the store, but I'm sure they're expensive because, as we know, only chickens get the bird flu. Geese and ducks, they don't get the bird flu. Only the chickens, so they can rip us off on the eggs, get the bird flu. So, this is the remnants of the Biden administration that we're witnessing
That
now.
is true.
This will clear up shortly.
I certainly hope you are right. But this week, back to your field, your wheelhouse is the markets. You've been trading for decades, so you have deep experience in all of this. You've seen the ups, the downs, the Democrats in office, the Republicans in office. So how do we explain what we just saw this week with the response to the tariffs? The markets responded in kind. We saw the biggest drops in the S&P, in the Dow, and then Ted, we saw it rally for 5 minutes, and then it took another nosedive. It has been a volatile week. A lot of people got rich too, but a lot of people lost a lot of money. How do we justify what we just saw this week?
Well, first, let's say they didn't really lose money yet, because unless you sold, you didn't lose. And those 401ks were so overinflated anyways, a little bit of a pullback is not that big a deal. I think when you look at the market itself, the markets have been extremely overvalued. And with the policies that President Trump is bringing in, as I've said in the past, there's going to be some pain here before we get back to a real economy. Inflation is through the roof. No matter how you want to slice it, no matter how you want to look at it, inflation is way out of whack. And when you look at the price of crude oil now, crude oil has been cut by about 30%, which is going to bring down the cost of inflation. You have a Federal Reserve that has totally lost their mind and had an emergency meeting on Monday debating about whether or not they were going to cut rates. But in the meantime, what people don't recognize is when the Fed cuts rates, they're not cutting for you and me, the consumer who borrows the money. They're cutting the rates for the banks who borrow money from the Federal Reserve and then relend it out to the consumer. Right. And all the Fed did was make the banks more money because they allowed them to widen their spread. But the action in the market was very much expected. What you saw Wednesday is what we call in the business a rip your face off rally. And that is really just from a short covering rally where everybody was short and the market should have kept going down. And suddenly they realized that they weren't going down anymore. And there was some adjustment to the tariffs and everybody got afraid and they chased them up. The NASDAQ 12% in one day rally. But it really wasn't a surprise. I think it was expected. The subsequent sell-off on yesterday was expected. I mean, it wasn't a big sell-off yesterday. I mean, now we're accepting bigger numbers is not a big deal. I mean, that's really what you go now. Now, a 3% move is nothing now because there's a lot of volatility. And that goes into if you look at, there's an index called the VIX index, which measures volatility based on options that are traded. The VIX is trading at about 50 right now, when it normally trades at about 20. That just tells you that if you're trying to buy options right now, you're overpaying you're overpaying for eggs right now, about 3 times too much.
Wow. Okay. I need to look at that. I'm a rookie to investing my money, but I try to follow good sound advice from folks like you. I think my husband likes to do this stuff, but from what I've learned, and I'm also even watching, that Showtime show Billions. So we know the rule, buy low, sell high. Was any of that applicable this week?
I mean, it was if you're a trader. We have to look at this from 2 different perspectives, okay? If you're a trader, then there was a lot of opportunity to buy and sell, okay? If you're an investor, and I think one of the worst inventions ever for investors is the iPhone or whatever smartphone. We won't criticize Apple. The smartphone, because people are checking their IRA or their 401k every 10 minutes. Now, you're not getting out of your IRA or 401k, so what do you care? What do we know for an absolute fact? The fact is that in the history of the stock market, it has gone up 8.5% year over year in history. Since 1950, it's gone up 10% year over year. So when you see these big dips, you see these big sell-offs, those are really buying opportunities as an investor. I mean, I bought, and listen, I'm negative the market right now. I'm very bearish the market right now. But I bought for my IRA and for my 401k and for my investment account. I bought a lot of stock this week at what I call discount prices. And I'm not selling them tomorrow or next week. I don't care what happens. If the stock market itself really fails, and I'm talking about worse than 1929, then we have a whole other can of worms and more problems, and this country will fail. But I don't believe that this country is going to fail. I think that we're going to be good, and I think that we're going to be stronger. And I do believe that Trump will make America great again, because I think we are finally stepping up against China. I mean, are you happy as a consumer that your prescription drugs come from China? Are you happy paying China to produce your goods when we can't even, in this country, if you call customer service, you can't even get anybody who speaks English? Wouldn't you like to have this country be back on the top and back in control versus taking orders and being dictated by other countries around the globe?
Well, I have a question for you, Mr. Bubba. And to answer your question first, yes. I would love all that.
Robbie was going to.
Well, no, I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, Montana. So I'm just a little bit to the north of where you are, Mr. Bubba. So a little bit colder here, but that's okay. Here, what's going on is our major economy was where I am. There was an aluminum plant that got shut down. My neighboring town that's where most of the jobs are. The town's now dying because there's no more work. And the local people trying to compete with illegal immigrants and stuff, they can't, because they won't work for $2 an hour. You actually pay them a decent wage. So my question for you is, with Trump pushing these tariffs, do you see industry actually coming back to this country? Like, will Ford start making, I don't know, brake pads in the United States again?
I hope so.
I do too, but hope isn't the plan. Do you think that will happen? Like, will we actually start making microwaves and computers and refrigerators again? Or are these tariffs just a whole bunch of flash with no bang?
Right. Because that was his idea. That was his intent, right? He says, make it too expensive to be an American company, like, let's say, Whirlpool, and make your product in China and bring it back to the U.S. That was his intent, at least.
I think that if he gets his way, then we will be building in this country again. We will be manufacturing in this country again. Now, you have a lot of pushback. I mean, how many people have you seen? How many idiots out there have you seen who go, well, I don't want the federal cutting spending. I mean, who doesn't want to see the federal government cut their spending? Are they not giving away too much of our money? Our tax dollars are going away for nonsense. So again, wouldn't it be better if you, in a perfect world, would it not be better to have better jobs in this country where guys could actually make a real living like they did when we first went into the assembly lines and when Ford first started and we had manufacturing, and guys who didn't have a great education, guys and girls, could go into a factory and work and make a good living wage and build something, whereas the people that were smarter and others did other things in business, now we're in a position that guys like me, I couldn't get a job anywhere else. If I need to get a job, who's going to hire me? I don't know anything about AI or computers or programming. Okay, all I know is I can pick up a phone and say, hello, can I help you? And then when I don't help you is, well, is there anything else I can do for you today? So again, when I look at the big picture, if we can get jobs back in this country and people can actually make more money, then the price you're paying for goods and services is not a big deal. If we can cut down the amount of taxes that we're paying. I mean, you live in a good state in Montana. I live in a good state in Nevada. Ted lives in New York, which he's paying an extra 13% for city tax. You got to pay 60% to live in the state of New York. So if you're not making $300,000 a year in the city, you can't live in New York. Okay. To me, that makes absolutely no sense. Okay. And it's amazing. California, Illinois, New York, Connecticut, they're the 4 busted states in the union, and they're the most expensive tax-wise in the country.
Yep, I agree. And so, I mean, that's my concern is that we have all these tariffs, which personally, I don't have a problem with it. I would love to see the tariffs bring jobs back, lower the income tax. Frankly, I'd love to see the income tax go away just permanently. Away.
Dayton, Ohio, which arguably put Donald Trump into the presidency the first time, in large part due to anger over the World Trade Organization, NAFTA, GATT, all that crap. And deindustrialization was my childhood. I mean, one factory after another being closed. The giant Delco Moraine facility, which employed over 10,000 workers, closed just in one day. And, the economy never recovered. It's a disaster. Okay. I mean, there's no doubt like the heartland has been hollowed out. So I think we all agree that what the problem is. And I think there's no doubt that tariffs like this would have been really very powerful back in like the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Yeah, 30 years ago, it made sense.
Yeah, that's my concern here, right? So I'm putting myself in the, as a communist, I don't usually do this, but I'm putting myself in the mindset of like the capitalist entrepreneur who's looking at the current situation and thinking, okay, is this an opportunity for me? Can I open a factory here and start making some stuff here in the United States? Does it make sense for me financially? And I'm thinking, okay, well, first and foremost, I don't know who's going to be president in 3 years, but it's probably not going to be Donald Trump. I don't even know if President Vance will pursue these same, protectionist policies. We don't even know how with Donald Trump, the tariffs are on, they're off, they're on. You don't even know if he's going to stick to it. Business people, Bubba, they love, they like stability, they like predictability. They want to be able to know as much as possible what's going to happen. Let's say 5 years out. Maybe they can't know 10 years out, but 5 has been my experience with the investors I've met. And so they can't do that. This is such an unpredictable scenario. So I just wonder if this is one of those situations where the jobs are like the horse that's out of the barn, and now we're closing the doors after they're gone, and it's just too late to get them back.
That's true. And again, I can't argue with that. But do we have the ability to re-educate and re-educate our own people here that it's really better for America to be the powerhouse and not answer to China or to Russia, through the Biden administration, and not just. I'm not blaming. This is not a piss on Joe Biden only episode.
He's going to have enough trouble this month with all the books coming out about how he was senile.
But at the end of the day, are we happy giving all the money to Ukraine for the war? Are we happy giving all our money to China? Are we happy about all the things that went on? Again, I think we have to look at it. Can we re-educate people? Because even if you're a climate change person, I am not. I don't believe in it. But again, if you do, I don't hold it against you. I'm not mad at you. But to me, the Green New scam was a scam. They did absolutely nothing for all those years talking about it. but only took our money, didn't do anything, didn't fix the infrastructure, didn't get ready for green energy. And if you really want green energy in this country, what is wrong with nuclear power instead of all this other BS that we can
Nothing.
On?
No,
okay?
This is something that the left needs to understand.
Yes.
And a lot of more enlightened leftists are behind nuclear power now. It's hard because of the legacy from like the 70s and 80s, where the whole no nukes movement and, Karen Silkwood and after 3 Mile Island and all that. But, look, you got to follow the facts where they lead you. And the facts are nuclear is a relatively clean option that we need to be doing.
Yeah, it's a realistic option.
So the market itself, look, again, I go back to in history, the market's gone up an average of 8.5% year over year. So I don't think that's changing. Can Trump change the way that people think? That the big question is, can we educate Americans, okay, the imbeciles that are at your university that are ripping up their diplomas, okay, can we educate Americans to realize that we are much better when we are the powerhouse in the world and not succumbing to the pressure and giving all of our money to other places? We're much more powerful being the bulk of the manufacturing. Even if we do get goods from other places, we are much better when we are in control. And certainly the United States is one country that could be an island, and we don't necessarily need any other country in the world if we don't want to be a participant. If we want to be isolationist here, we don't need anybody. We have enough of our own natural ingredients, natural goods, rare earth materials, that we could survive and be self-sustaining as an island without anybody else in the world.
Yeah, so, my grandfather used to say that
true.
used to say that America is not an island, it's an entirely different planet, just because of how big it is and the resources. I think he's right. And so I agree with you. I mean,
the geography is amazing.
Everything that you just said, I completely agree with you. The question is, though, is that do we have the political will and the economic will to actually make it happen?
Well, no, that's not the question. The question is, do we have the leverage to make it happen? That's what Trump is experimenting with right now.
I think
especially against China.
Can we educate the people? Remember, again, I just said that people are crying that the federal government is cutting spending on things. Look at how many phony people are getting unemployment claims. Look at how much of our tax dollars goes into the garbage can that we have no idea where they're even going. Can we re-educate Americans to believe in America first and not all these other causes? I mean, listen, I have no problem with helping others that need help. I have no problem with being charitable to those who need, but certainly, wouldn't it be more important to take care of the homeless and the people that need in America first before we worry about taking care of people?
Here, Bubba. I've never agreed with you as much as I am today.
You never agree with me, Ted, but that's okay.
I totally agree with you. Today, I'm totally agreeing with you so far. You haven't said anything I disagreed with. I'm just like, but I mean, here's the thing. The answer to your question is, I don't think it's possible for the